Hi, welcome to What's Your Story? Today, my guest is a man who fights corruption and he's not from an NGO. He was a former director in MACC. Hello, Dato Ganesan. Please welcome to our show.
Thank you very much, Ganesh. Thank you very much.
Now, you are in a very interesting job that is fighting corruption in our country when the topic of corruption is now somehow is very famous in our country. Now, let's talk about your school days. Did you want to fight corruption even when you were young?
When I was young, as a schoolboy, I was brought up in a very poor family. I had only a couple of white pants and a couple of white shirts for my primary school days, as well as my secondary school days. Okay, my father was a barber, a very poor man indeed, and my mother was a housewife. I'm from Kuala Lumpur, Pahang, the heartland of West Malaysia. During my school days, with these pants and my shirt, the school uniform, whenever it gets torn, my mother always used to stitch it over and over and over again because it gets torn very easily. So I was using this school uniform torn, looks very shabby for a period of about 9 years, Standard 1 to Standard 6, as well as Form 1 to Form 3. Okay, a total of 9 years. When I go to school in the morning, in my primary schools, I will have to skip breakfast. My breakfast is only water, and water. My lunch, whenever I come back from school as a tired boy, as a growing up boy, my food was only rice plus rasam. And if I'm lucky, I get scrambled eggs. And if I'm even luckier, I will get some ikan bilis. By the way, no chicken. Chicken, meat, mutton, too expensive for my family.
What year was this?
I was going to school in 1966 until 1972 for my primary school, 73 until 75 for my secondary school. Okay, for my lower secondary.
So when did the situation change?
Okay, then I was enrolled to the University Kebangsaan Malaysia. That was the change of things for me. Brighter days, better days ahead, much more rosier days for me.
So even though you were from a very humble beginning, you were excelling in your education, I guess.
Thank you very much for that question. I always excelled in my studies. I was always the top of my class, especially for English. As far as English studies is concerned, English language is concerned, I was never number 2. I was always number 1. From my primary until my secondary school days. Favorite hobby was reading, especially books by Enid Blyton, the author, the British author, who wrote the Secret 7 series as well as the Famous 5. And my essays were excellent.
So how was your life in the university there?
Okay, in the university, I did social science. I graduated with a degree, honors degree in sociology. Okay, during my school day or university days, I was very fortunate because I got a JPA scholarship. I was a JPA scholar amounting to 3,300 per year. I was very lucky, very fortunate indeed to get the JPA scholar because my father couldn't afford my studies, or else I would have been forced to drop out.
I see. So in the varsity years itself, did you think of joining MACC and all that?
Yes, I did. Okay, there was one unfortunate incident, very pathetic, sad in fact. Because when I enrolled to university on the first year itself, my father, a poor man indeed, he bought me a Suzuki bone shaker of a motorcycle. So the nearest town from the university campus, being Bangi, is Kuala Lumpur. And as I rode my motorcycle from Bangi to Kuala Lumpur, strangely, weirdly in fact, I did not notice the motorcycle lane from the federal highway to Kuala Lumpur. So I used the lane, the roads in fact, used by other vehicles, cars, lorries, etc., etc. This being the first time I'm going to the big city, Kuala Lumpur, I got stopped by a couple of policemen. One policeman was on the lookout, whereas the other policeman approached me and told me I've committed a traffic offense. Told him, okay, to err is human, to forgive is divine. I'm a human being, I'm sorry, I'm a small kampong boy. This is my first trip to the big city of Kuala Lumpur. I apologize, my sincere apologies. The policeman, just a constable, shouted at the top of his voice. That's the modus operandi, how they extort bribes, how they accept bribes, how they solicit for bribes. Okay? He told me, no, this is a very grave offense indeed. You can either settle it with me or you settle it at the Balai police. I was telling him, can't you forgive me for my, honest mistake? I didn't do it on purpose, not intentional. He told me, if you settle with me here for the traffic offense, you only pay me 30 ringgit. If you go to the Balai, you will be fined at least 150 ringgit, 5 times the amount. Or alternatively, you can even go to court. The magistrate's court, you will be fined even higher, 300 ringgit. That's what he told me. And me looking at him, being a person in power, full police uniform, with handcuffs, with his service revolver, and his police uniform, I was indeed frightened, very scared indeed. This is the first time in my life I've been stopped, halted, detained by a policeman. I was thinking, wow, $30. $30 way back in 79 was 1 week's meal for me. Oh, I was crying, I was really crying. Externally and internally, what am I supposed to do? I have to skip my meals for the week if I was to give him $30. I knew something was not right. Anyway, being a prudent man, that is, why should I pay $150 or $300 when I can settle it there and then? If in the MACC Act, the word bribe doesn't appear, it is known as gratification. In my wallet, I had only 20 ringgit. So I told him, sir, can I give you 10 ringgit? And then the other 10 ringgit is for my meals, which I had to cut down at the canteen. 10 ringgit, you can only get half the amount of food, half amount of water, drinks. He scolded me again. Look here, $10 is not enough for the both of us. Look at my friend over there, keeping a watch out, look out. For him $10 and for me $10. Period. Final. You pay me $20 gratification if you want to be on the loose again. You don't want to have a police record. You don't want to be fined. You don't want to be summoned, etc., etc., etc. With a very, very heavy heart. In fact, I was crying. I took out the 20 ringgit from my pocket, from my wallet.
That's when you decided that you want to become an MCC officer.
Yes. I told him, this can't be happening. In 1979, it happened to me.
Then later, what any other incidences that happened in your life?
79, this happened. In the year 2016, I was the director of MACC Terengganu. I was using my pants, my jeans, the jeans I bought in 1985 still fitted me, but it was all torn here, there, everywhere. Backside torn, and the knees is torn, Again, I was stopped, this time by 8 policemen.
Okay.
At the junction to the KLIA airport, the junction, there's one junction, I was stopped there again. Again, the same modus operandi happened, whereby they were soliciting for a bribe. They told me, you have committed an offense. I told that policeman concerned, this motorcycle is a brand new motorcycle, which I bought it for a week ago. It has road tax, tires are new, signals are all there, the brake lamps, hazard lamps and all that is all in order because it's a brand new bike. And my license, as usual, it was still valid for another 3 years. What offense have I done? Guess what? The joke of the century. Policeman said, you are not supposed to wear torn jeans. Can you imagine that? I say, is it an offense to wear torn jeans? You are following which penal code? Is it the penal code of Malaysia or Indonesia? Or perhaps it's India? Or alternatively, it could happen in Vietnam. So you tell me, because I've been a prosecutor and an investigator for the MACC for the last 3 decades. So he looked at me. He was quite furious. He was annoyed, in fact. Oh, you are being a smart aleck. Huh? You dare to question a policeman. Huh? I've done nothing wrong legally.
Till then, you didn't tell them that you're from MACC?
I didn't. The next move, told him, I am from the MACC Terengganu. Immediately, 2 police officers withdrew, walked back. Balance 6 of them. They looked for my authority card. I showed them my authority card. That policeman asked me, what are you working in MACC Terengganu? I am the director of MACC Terengganu. Immediately, another 2 policemen withdrew. Only 4 policemen, by now they were shivering. The way they are talking, already in defensive mode. Then he asked me, oh, pengarah? I said, yes. I showed him my authority, my office badge, being the pengarah of MACC Terengganu. Then he said, are you a dato, by the way? I said, yes, I'm a dato. I got my dato-ship from the Sultan of Pahang. Immediately, another 2 policemen withdrew. Balance 2 more policemen. Immediately, the 2 policemen stood in attention. They saluted me. Jalan Dato. Have a pleasant day. Have a fine day. I told them, thank you very much.
So that was a thing that happened, so many years back, and final reflection.
Look at that, the modus operandi hasn't changed.
So what was your first case in MACC, Dato?
Okay, my first case, it happened in 1986 in
After how many years you joined MACC, you got your first case?
This case immediately after joining the MACC. After my training for the
How long was the training in
my training that time was 3 months. I was attached to MACC Selangor. After my training, immediately I was posted to MACC Sarawak, based in Kuching. Okay, my first case involved a case of smuggling of beer, Tsingtao beer. The smuggler concerned is an old-timer. He goes by, he pays off everybody, he does dirty dealings, he's a bad hat, wayward character. He's good for nothing except corruption. He corrupts all government officials right from the top up to the bottom. In this case, his boss, his employer, wanted him to smuggle 40 feet long containers of Tsingtao beer.
How many containers?
8 containers to be exact. And then his mode of operation, 40 feet container, only 1 feet is hardware material outside. He declared it all as hardware material. Whereas 39 feet, all bottles and bottles and bottles, crates and crates and crates of Tsingtao beer from China. Duties not paid, taxes not paid. In other words, it's contraband. He has paid off the port authorities. He has paid off the customs. And as soon as he left the dockyard, Port Authority dockyard, myself and my men did try to stop him. The irony of the whole case was that I was driving a Mazda 323. I'm very proud, brand new Mazda 323, 1.3 liter. Whereas my man, who is one of the top guns, one of the directors now, he drove a Galan Mitsubishi. It's a bone shaker. Manufactured in early 1970s. The other team member, we call him, he's a local Sabah, Slovakian. He drove an old Mazda 808, if you recall. That is another bone shaker. It doesn't go fast.
And
And
you
he-
three guys were like
Yes.
cowboys trying to chase the cook.
Yes!
Uh-huh.
The smuggler drove a brand new Honda Prelude. You know, those days,
Yes.
that was the in thing for the
One of the
race
fastest
car.
cars on
Yes,
the road.
yes. Twin can, twin carburetors, twin doors. Red in color, very popular then.
Uh-huh.
1986. It was just imported from Japan. It's an imported car. It's an imported version. It's a race car. So I told my staff, okay, you with the cold galan, the bone shaker, try to stop him if you can. And that smuggler told us, catch me if you can. And that other Mazda 808, he tried to corner this smuggler because the smuggler was in the front of the 8 containers. The 8 containers, 40-foot containers were following the smuggler. Me, very proud of my Mazda 323, brand new, also joined in the chase. Finally, what happened? We only ended up chasing the smoke of the Prelude 2-liter.
He escaped.
He escaped, of course. We couldn't see his Honda Prelude and neither could we see the car. We could only see the smoke. Within 1 minute, the car was missing. We didn't know where the car disappeared. We were still chasing the black smoke. But because the containers and in the big lorry trailers, they were too bulky, we detained all 8 containers because they can, these are bulky.
So the drivers all were arrested.
Yes. The drivers of the containers were all arrested and we took it to the container yard. Upon inspection, yes, 1 feet outside was hardware material, whereas 39 feet was Tsingtao beer, uncustomed. Duties were not paid, customs duties, excise duties and all that. In other words, it's contraband, it's smuggled items, it's illegal, it's legitimate. So we detained the
So this guy didn't try to contact you to...
Listen, the next phase, this guy tried to make contact with me, communicate with me. So my favorite place for dinner was a place known as King Center. I believe it still exists in Kuching. This smuggler is a bodybuilder, First home is a gym. Second home is also a gym. Third home is also a gym. It's the Malaysian Arnold Schwarzenegger. All muscles. While I was having my dinner at King Center, he came with a briefcase of at least 10,000 ringgit. Those days, 10,000 ringgit was a very, very big sum of money. It was gratification, in fact. Opened the briefcase with 10,000 ringgit. He told me, this is for you, for my discretion to release his 8 containers of smuggled Tsingtao beer. Bottles, by the way, there was no cans then, all bottles. I told him, look here, let's say the smuggler is Mr. X. Mr. X, I'm a bureaucrat, I'm a civil servant, I'm a public official, I don't believe in corruption. I don't believe in bribery. In fact, I abhor bribery. I'm supposed to combat. I'm supposed to fight corruption. That's my official designation. Take the money and keep it to yourself. I'm an A20 scale. My salary paid by the government is more than enough. And I'm given a free house to stay by the government. And I've given many perks. Government has been so kind to me.
So what was his reaction?
Gratitude. His reaction, he was very angry. Consider, I said, there's nothing to consider. Get lost.
So he didn't make any attempts after that?
Listen, the next phase, the modus operandi for gratification in the MACC, firstly, it's always money. Gratification is always money. Second, women, sex services. Third, entertainment, women, wine and song. Last is liquor. Okay, since money failed as a gratification, the next form of gratification which he gave me is sexual services. He brought a couple of ladies of the night. He told me, sir, have a good time with 2 girls, mind you, not 1. Have fun with these girls. They are all yours for the keeping. Take your time. I told him that time I was about 24, 25. It's not that I'm boasting. I got the looks of Shah Rukh Khan. Or else, if you prefer, if you are an Indian, more of a Kamalasan.
Okay.
I told him I no need call girls to service me, to service my lust, to have sex with. I got a string of girls who are waiting at my house every day for me to pick and choose.
So was his third this thing attempt.
Okay, after that, the following week, while I was eating, he sent in 2 buckets of beer. Guess what? He sent me 2 buckets of Tsingtao beer. I told him, look here, Mr. Smuggler, I can buy my own beer. I don't need you to serve me beer as a gratification. You can take the beer and FO. I showed him the middle fingers again. He got damn bloody wild, you know.
So finally what he did?
Finally, the last mode of conduit of corruption, song, gambling. Because my girlfriend was working in a King Center gambling outlet. I used to go and see her after midnight, you know, and take her home. One of the cashiers there gave me 2 bags of coins to play the one-arm bandit. Again, a form of bribe for me to indulge in gambling. I said, forget it. Ask the cashier to give the money back to the smuggler. I don't gamble, by the way. I don't believe in gambling. The house can never lose. The one-arm bandit can never lose. It's a bandit anyway. A bandit is supposed to ransack you, rob you of your money. So the cashier took the 2 sacks of money and gave back to the smuggler. That was all. He said, everything, women, wine, song, money, everything, Ganesan negated it. I always believe in Pak saying, the former deputy, the Prime Minister, katakan tidak kepada rasuah. Say no to corruption. That's your first move. If in the first instance you say no to corruption, that's assured for the rest of your life, you will be a clean person of integrity, ethics.
That's very good, Dato.
Transparency, accountability, honesty, responsibility. That's your first move. You have to say no. If in the first move itself you say yes, you are a goner.
But they don't give up. They come after you over and over again.
Yes, they never give up.
Tempting you in different ways.
Yes, because corruption, you know, in gratification, it includes all that I've informed you.
So finally, what happened?
Finally, he gave up and he was put out of service by the manager concerned. The manager said, what the hell, my 8 containers, I thought you can handle the smuggling of the 8 containers. So that smuggler was put out of business. And the irony of it is that the manager came and bought the beer because it was auctioned off by the customs, 1.5 million ringgit. He bought the 8 containers of beer in the containers. He himself paid 1.5 million cash.
You could have easily paid the taxes earlier.
Yes. But he wanted to avoid all these taxes. He wanted to avoid money going to the government revenue.
So what was your biggest case in MACC?
Okay. My biggest case was involving an insurance agent. It's very sad, this case, Ganesh. This insurance manager, he cheated all the port workers. Very pitiful, you know. Port workers, their hard-earned earnings. They got all $10,000, and he cheated them, falsified documents to say that the local insurance agency was amalgamating with a foreign player, and they are going to sell their shares. Each share is worth 10,000 ringgit. So the poor port workers, all the hard-earned income, they believed him. They trusted him. However, he did criminal breach of trust. He collected few millions of dollars from both the port workers in Sabah as well as Sarawak. That was my biggest case, involving few millions of ringgit.
Finally, the guy was
Finally, yes, coming to that. Finally, as he was about to abscond from Malaysia, we had an all-points bulletin on him. Air, road, and sea. We had its photo, we have its description and all that, passed it on to all our MACC officers who were working around the clock. The last flight from Kuching to Peninsular Malaysia is 12:30 midnight. He wanted to board that plane to escape to another unknown country because he had millions of ringgit. Already made his loot, already made his dirty dealings, made his dirty money. We arrested him there at the airport. Upon arrest, he even tried to bribe the MACC officials. The MACC officials, because that time I was known as a senior investigating officer, whereas all my staff, they were either assistant investigating officers or investigating officers. They told me, we all denied. I said, very ethical of you. They all denied the bribe. And he was brought in to be interrogated, to be questioned. He was in the lockup for 2 weeks. And we did real intensive interrogation on him.
And he never revealed where the
No,
money
he never
was.
revealed. He never revealed where the money went. As he used to say, and all these bad hats, wayward characters used to say, biar pecah perut, jangan pecah mulut. Now mind, suffer, but never disclose your illegal activities.
So did he go behind bars after this?
Yes, we tried him in the court of law in Kuching for the case of criminal breach of trust, and then we amended the charge to cheating. I was the investigating officer for the case. The last, he was found guilty. Okay, but found guilty by the Sessions Court. That's the first line of defense for him. Second line of defense goes to the High Court, Court of Appeal, lastly Federal Court. So in the Sessions Court, he was convicted. High Court, it was upheld his conviction. But the later two courts, I was no more in Kuching, and I didn't know what happened finally.
Okay.
I was transferred back to Kuantan, my next posting.
So, Dato, you also did your masters in...
Yeah. My masters I did in the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, institution known as International Anti-Corruption Academy in Vienna. I did my masters. I was there for 2 years. In fact, the institution was opened by Mr. Ban Ki-moon. If you recall, he was once the Secretary General of the
Sec-Gen of UN.
UN. Yes, he opened the institution concerned. There were 7 of us who applied for the post for the scholarship. Malaysia had to send 1 representative. Unfortunately, all 6 did not get through their International English Language Test syllabus, IELTS, whereas it was eating candy for me.
So your English during your primary days and secondary days?
Of course.
Came.
I got the band 7 in the IELTS exam. It was supposed to be good. Immediately, the United Nations sent me a letter of invitation. Ganesan, report for your studies immediately. By the way, I was 55 years old then. I was the oldest student. All of them looked at me, and I bought a Harley Davidson there. They called me the crazy Malaysian. I was basically a happy-go-lucky guy. I was a jovial character until now I am.
So there's how many of them now in, that means UN certified?
Yes, I'm the first UN certified anti-corruption and compliance specialist. I got my transcript, it's documented, it's recorded by the UN. In Malaysia, I'm the first Malaysian to be certified as an anti-corruption and compliance specialist.
So how many of them are there now?
I think there's one more girl after me. But I went there, the difference is that I went there after 30 years of service, whereas the girl went there after 5 years of service.
That means only 2 of you are in the country right now.
I think so, if I'm not mistaken.
So with this cert, actually you can go and give talk anywhere in the world.
Anywhere in the world. And in fact, if there are any cases, court cases concerning corruption, I can be hired. I can be engaged as an anti-corruption and compliance specialist. I can talk on behalf of the prosecution and I can talk on behalf of the defense. because I've been certified internationally
I see.
by the United Nations. So
That's very good.
that's a card, a birthright,
Uh-huh.
So that's my qualification from the United Nations.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dato' Ganesan,
Yes,
for
you're most
spending
welcome.
some time and, of course, telling us a lot of things about MACC workings,
You
which
are
most
most
of us were not well versed with.
You are most welcome, Ganesh.
Thank you very much.
You are most welcome.
Okay, that's all for this week. Until we meet again. Bye.